What is going on, everybody? It is your boy POLK, a.k.a. a.k.a. the goddamn truth. And we got another video. And this time we playing number 3, Notre Dame. And we are number 9. As you're going to see here in the top 25 rankings. You'll also notice this is another voiceover, and that my body language and my lips will not be matching what I'm saying because the absolute audio on this video was terrible. My mic was not. It was on, but for whatever reason, it wasn't the device that the computer was picking up. It was doing the default computer microphone, which sounds absolutely garbage and has a constant ticking noise, which I don't know why. And so, as you'll see, or as you can see, this is another voiceover, but that's okay. And we are looking at the top 25 right now. And then we're going to back out, and we're going to go check out the Heisman Watch, I believe, coming up. Also, man, in this video, we are going to, in this video, and in the videos going forward, also here in that Heisman Watch, you see your boy Trayshawn Ward is in the Heisman combo ahead of Jordan Travis. What I was saying though, in this video and for the videos going forward, we're gonna do less commentary, and there's gonna be a lot more of me picking a topic for said video for 30 minutes, and then we're just gonna talk about it. I feel like instead of wasting my time and everybody else's time with a 2-hour live stream rehashing the same old points, instead the plan is let's just cover some stuff in these videos where you can watch. Obviously, you watch the game, you watch the video game behind me as we are playing number 3 Notre Dame, and listen to my points, you know. So that's how we're gonna go, and that's how we're gonna go going forward. With that said, in this video, I wanted to do a position by position expectation, sort of break down the newcomers into the room and just what we can expect. Position by position is what I want to talk about in this video. And we're going to start, of course, with the quarterback position. And this might be the one position that, frankly, there's not a lot to talk about. There's not a lot of questions. I think last year was Rodemaker, but I think it was Rodemaker by default, just because true freshman, you don't want that true freshman playing, so you're going to throw Rodemaker out there regardless. Now I think there's a legit competition for the second quarterback spot, and I want to see, I'm not mad at whoever wins it, but I'm curious to see how competitive it gets. This way, we keep Brock Glenn on the bench, and we ain't got to worry about him, right? So you got to see that second and third string guys take the step forward, and this way we have the proper depth. Quarterback room's as healthy as it's been in a long time. I'm excited, man. We're not gonna waste too much more time on the quarterbacks because the quarterbacks. And again, quarterback position is about as stable as it's been since, arguably Jameis. And I don't even think that. I mean, think about the quarterback position since Jameis. We bring in Everett Golson as a transfer, and Sean McGuire's there, and he's not really have full confidence in, and you got Francois and Blackman, and man, listen, since Jameis, this might be the most healthy the quarterback room's been, and we're looking forward to seeing how that ends up. Running backs, man. If we move on to these running backs, Trey Benson, now you see right there on your screen again. Get it. We all know Trey Benson is the guy. Lawrence Toafili. I don't know if they continue to use LT in the fashion that they've used him, which has been I don't want to say gadget player because I think that's inaccurate, but just as a Swiss Army knife of a player, man. They give him carries, they line him up out wide, they throw him the ball out of the backfield. They do a little bit of everything with Lawrence Toafili, and my personal opinion is you should still continue to use him in that role, which means you're going to need a legit second running back. Who is that guy is the big question going into the spring and going into this season. The guy that everybody expects it to be is Ncaa Holmes. And I don't think that's a bad expectation. I don't think that's a terrible prediction or anything like that. I, for a lot of reasons, hope it is him. But I have a feeling, personally, just have a sneaky feeling that maybe it's not Ncaa Holmes. And the one X factor that I keep going back to, and I think Rodney Hill's a good. I think we got a lot of good running backs. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we know that the running back room is stacked. And I would have more confidence in saying this if this guy was an early enrollee, and I don't think he is. I would have to look it up. I did not look it up. So if I am, if I am wrong on this, please get in the comment section. Correct me. But if Sam Singleton, which I don't think if he was an early enrollee, I think it'd be a legit conversation to have. He's not an early enrollee by my recollection. But the reason why I'm bringing this guy up is he has something that no other running back in the room has. That is track speed. That is breakaway speed that nobody else in that room has, which makes him the unique back in the class. In the room. I'm interested to see how much they try to implement him year one, if at all. They may not. You did bring in Ncaa Holmes for a reason, former 4-star guy. You do have Rodney Hill, who showed flashes last year that he is a tough runner, physical runner, and got a little wiggle to him as well. Then you got the walk-on CJ Campbell, who also showed that he has some ability as well. A lot of talent, a lot of ability in that room. Nobody, I think, is going to be forced into a position that they aren't ready for. I'm just very interested to see Singleton get an opportunity. One of the great things I loved about last year was each running back brought something different to the table, which is why I believe the running game was so effective last year. I want to keep that. This year. I don't know. I tend to think Ncaa and Trey are similar. I'll wait and see. Actually, seeing Ncaa Holmes on the field and just seeing how his running style and how he moves and all that. And I could be wrong on him, but we'll see. Let's move on to the wide receiver room. If we go to a quick glance at the score right now, it is 14-7. We are up on Notre Dame. If you go to the wide receiver room, This is the on offense. I believe this is the most wide open position group on the team. As you see Trey Benson almost break it there. Because Johnny Wilson, look, you go for 800 yards, and I don't remember how many touchdowns he had, but you go for almost 1,000 yards. Yeah, you're gonna be your wide receiver one. Okay, no doubt there, right? No doubt there. But then everything after him, in my opinion, is a legit question. Yes, we want to be able to write in Winston Wright and expect him to pick right up where Ontario Wilson left off. But the man hasn't played football in, over 12 months. Coming off of a broken leg because of car injury. Let's be fair to him. We don't know what we're getting. We want to believe, but we don't know what we're getting as we just throw an interception in the red zone. We don't know what we're getting there, okay? I like Micah Pittman. Because Micah Pittman does a lot of the dirty work. I absolutely agree with people that say that, and that stuff can not get overlooked. Micah Pittman blocking into the whistle and doing all those things that he does, that is the difference between maybe an 8-yard run and a guy breaking it for 20, 30 yards, just one simple block. Those things do matter. But that doesn't mean the production of that position cannot be improved. I don't think you can just pencil in, or write in Micah Pittman. A guy that I've been harping on since he was a freshman in the COVID year. Damn it, Ncaa Douglas, is your time to shine. I believe if he wasn't hurt last year, you would have saw some things from him. And I think he is the guy that you need to pay attention to. And if there's a position he can take, I believe it's Micah Pittman. Now, is he as physical as Micah Pittman? I don't know. Maybe not. But I think he's every bit, if not a better wide receiving option than Micah Pittman. The question is, are they going to trust Ncaa or whoever to fill in that, to do the other things that Pittman, that doesn't show up on the stat sheet as Bethune with a huge hit, forces the fumble. And then you got Kentron Portier. Like, who's wide receiver two? Like, we're assuming Pittman's the slot guy, or is Winston the slot guy? I mean, Ontario Wilson was pretty much a number 2 guy last year. Who is that? Do you get Portier and Johnny on opposite sides? 6'4" and 6'7", you got a big receiving room. Sprinkling some Winston Wright or Micah Pittman in the slot, you got a nice little dynamic there. But don't sleep on, those freshmen that are coming in wholeheartedly. Don't sleep on the freshmen. Don't sleep on Hakeem, who might be the most physically gifted in the room. I'm just saying, don't sleep on him. Don't sleep on Jacobs. Don't sleep on Goldie Lawrence. And the X factor of this entire room is Deuce Spann. Deuce Spann is the guy that they brought in last year. He was considered your deep threat. Now, I was one of the few people that did not have any expectations for Deuce Spann. For whatever reason, everybody had a major expectations for Deuce Spann. I personally did not. I did not have high expectations just because the guy was making the transition from quarterback to receiver. Didn't play a lot of receiver once he made that move at Illinois. Then you were coming to Florida State. Yeah, you might have over the top speed, but you got to learn the intricacies. There you go. The intricacies of the position, all the little ins and outs and details. And I just didn't have any real expectations off of Deuce Spann. Well, now I think the expectation mounts for Deuce Spann. And we talk about people bringing different dynamics. Deuce Spann potentially brings that dynamic that no one else has, and that's just over the top speed. And so I'm very much looking forward to the X factor that is Deuce Spann and what he potentially brings. That wide receiver room should be fun to watch this spring. A lot of talent in that room, a lot of options, a lot of possibilities. We'll see what happens as we throw another interception. Holy cow, Jordan Travis, what is going on? Now let's move on to the tight ends, man. In the tight end room, this is arguably the most it is the most improved room on the offensive side of the ball, and one of them could end up being one of the most fun to watch. Obviously, and I think it has a lot. Obviously, Jaheim Bell and Kyle Morlock are the real reasons, or the big reasons to be excited. But listen, and this is not a knock on those guys. I like the homegrown guy. I'm not even going to lie. Marcus Douglas started showing me some things by the end of the year. That guy can play football. That guy, there's a reason why they liked him. There's a reason why they didn't give up on him, even though he had got overweight and there was talks of poor work ethic. Well, he put all that to bed. He got in shape, and all of a sudden, at 6'4", 270, a guy who might have been a biscuit, that's his nickname, by the way, Biscuit, and he might have been a biscuit away from being an offensive lineman, all of a sudden, this dude has turned into a very reliable tight end who I think the future is bright, and I only think he gets better. I only think Marcus and Douglas gets better. And you're talking about being legit 3 at tight end with all 3 tight ends really bringing something different. Douglas might be the most, in terms of a tight end, the most complete in terms of he can block and do some things with the ball in his hands. Morlock might be more of a blocker, don't know. Got to get more familiar with his game coming out of JUCO, so we'll see. And of course, Jaheim Bell is the all-around playmaker that you can actually line this guy up at receiver, tight end, halfback. You can do a lot of things with Jaheim Bell. And so I think you really got to look forward. Really got to look forward to what that tight end room is going to do in this offense, man. This offense, as you notice the trend as we talk about this offense, there's not a lot of negatives. And that leaves us finally to this offensive line, as I got to pick it up a little bit. We are in the third quarter. Look, man, just go ahead and put in the only question on the offensive line. The offensive line, in my opinion, is probably, outside of quarterback, probably the most predictable group on the offense. Look, Robert Scott, your left tackle. I believe the 3 transfers you brought in will all 3 be starting at least game 1, and we'll go for it from there. The only real question on the entire O-line is, I believe, right tackle, because I don't believe, personally, that you can just put in Bless Harris there. I think we're talking about Bless Harris, same way we talk about Winston Wright. He's a guy who hasn't played football in about a year. And not only in Bless Harris's case, as offensive lineman, he wasn't able to lift weights because I believe it was a shoulder injury. So you weren't able to get any upper body strength development, even though you sat out a year. While guys like Jalen Early and Julian Armella were absolutely able to work out and get better physically for an entire year. I don't know if you can just put in Bless Harris and say, yep, he's going to be the guy at right tackle, because I personally don't believe that. Bold prediction, I said it a couple weeks ago. Julian Armella will be the starter game 1 at right tackle for Florida State. I think it's going to be a battle, though, because you got Jalen Early, you got Bless Harris, who's not going to want that position taken from him. You're going to have, obviously, Julian Armella. And then who knows, man? You got the true freshman that's going to be competing maybe for that spot. You never know. And there might be some other guys that emerge that we're not too sure of. So, offensive line, I think is as stable as it's been in a very long time as well. Not too many surprises there. The battle's going to be at right tackle. Let's move on to this defense. And defensively, we're going to go inside out, man. And we're going to start with the defensive tackles, the interior D-line room, where your first 4, the D tackle room is I don't even know how to word it, but it is a complete. The first 4 guys in the rotation is probably what you want, especially those first 3. Those first, Fabian Lovett, Fisk, and Jackson, make your interior defensive line probably one of the better units in the ACC. And then you throw in Dennis Briggs, who's going to move back into the interior, where he's been more productive and more comfortable at. Your first 4 guys, man, there's a lot to like there. The question with the defensive tackle room, does Joshua Farmer take the next step? How is Malcolm Ray capped? What is Malcolm Ray? How much better does he get? And if he is getting better, let's see it. If not, does somebody jump a Malcolm Ray? Does Woody, Tafasi, Daniel Lyons, Bishop Thomas, are they capable? You got the freshman Sampson. One of these guys capable of maybe jumping Malcolm Ray, because that just segues into, you are extremely experienced and big with the first four, and then you go into uncharted territory after about Joshua Farmer and Malcolm Ray. Then you go into guys who have not played a lot of college football, if any, have played snaps here and there last year, redshirted, bunch of freshmen, but a bunch of guys that you can see talent oozing out of their pores, right? But can they make is this the year they're going to make the move? And I think if FSU wants those playoff expectations that people want, I honestly think you're going to need one of those young defensive tackles to jump somebody, to really push a Malcolm Ray or whoever the case. Now let's move to the defensive ends as we are winding down on time here in this video. By the way, man, before we continue, again, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Get in that comment section. Tell me if you like this format and how we doing it. Even if you don't like it, I'm going to keep doing it because I like to do it. And share the video, man. Share the videos. Let people know. I might not be doing as many lives. Taking a little bit of break so we kick back up in the spring. But I'll keep trying to turn these videos out for you guys. Defensive ends. Defensive ends. Defensive end room. Stacked. Obviously, Verse comes back as probably the number one guy in the country. At least expected to be. Patrick Payton is looking to have a huge bounce back off of last year's all-freshman performance. ACC Rookie of the Year, right? That's what we're looking for. Now the question becomes who is, is Gilbert Edmond? How I like Edmond, and I think because he's not going to be asked to be the primary focus on the defensive end room, I think you're looking at a guy who's going to be successful. Edmond. Who's some other guys I'm missing? D-Mac, of course. I know we give D-Mac a hard time, but I think in this instance, he's a solid rotation guy with what you already have. The big question that I have for this DN room, and not even this year, but going forward, is I actually have no idea what this defensive end room looks like going forward. There's a good chance that Verse and Pat are both gone after. If Pat has the season that we kind of hope he has, there's a good chance Pat goes to the NFL after this year. They got Jaden Jones at a JUCO, but he's coming off a knee injury. Don't know how much you expect for him in year one. You got Lamont Green Jr. Don't think you expect much from him in year one. And then the big question, the two guys that you gotta watch in this defensive end room, and then we'll move on. Do you get anything out of Byron Turner finally? And then Dante Anderson's the guy, the 4-star walk-on. The guy who was rated a 4-star that they got to walk on. Do you get anything out of Dante Anderson? So if you can get something out of one of those two guys, now the future looks brighter, and now the depth is all that much better. Don't know, but we'll wait and see going forward. Quickly, let's move to this linebacker room. Look, the top two guys, we know who they are. We know how good they are. I believe they're two of the better guys in the conference. The biggest question for the linebackers, man, it simply turns into, is there anything behind them? Okay? I think we got a solid 3-man rotation. Lundy's still going to be in the mix there, along with Tatum Bethune and Kalen DeLoach. Steven Dix, does he give you anything after coming back from his injury last year? What is he like after missing a year of football? Omar Graham, after redshirting as a freshman last year, what is he like after having a year in the weight room, a year practicing all that good stuff? Is Omar Graham ready to contribute in year 2, but as a redshirt freshman? Brandon Gant is in the mix. I don't expect a lot from Brandon Gant, but I think he's a good player to have there. And then really, man, you signed 3 freshmen linebackers. I wouldn't expect anything from two of them. But Blake Nicholson, I think he is the most underrated guy in the class, honestly. I know the audio's going to sound a little weird because don't worry about it. Blake Nicholson is the most underrated guy, overall prospect in the class, I believe. His athleticism for the position and the fact that he can play both ways effectively. Look, I don't know if you get anything from Blake year one, but that linebacking room is going to be all about what do you have on the back end, because we know the top 2 or 3 guys are dependable, reliable, and all conference players in the top 2. But what do you have if a guy gets hurt? What do you have to spell a guy, to give a guy a breather? I'm not so sure as we talk about the backers. Let's end it so we can spend some time a little bit on this defensive back room with Patrick Surtain as now your DB coach, with the addition of Fentrell Cypress, with the emergence of Shaheem Brown. You're getting Travis J back, who missed another year. With Jerrion Jones, who was playing some of his best football that he's ever played at Florida State by the end of the year. There's a lot of bodies in this DB room. We know that. We know there are a ton of bodies in this DB room. We know Ronaldo Green played exceptional last year. AZ, emerging star. And then you went out and they signed 5 defensive backs out of high school. The biggest question I have for the DB room, 2 things. I think 2 things are going to make this DB room. It's going to be, can Amarion Cooper bounce back? Can Amarion Cooper bounce back to what he was as a freshman? Because then I think he gives a level of depth on that DB room that you haven't had in a while. And then out of 5, I would argue out of 5 freshman DBs, FSU can find 2 guys that give you regular playing time out of those freshmen. And if they can, and everybody has the expected growth that you expect, AZ takes the next step, Ronaldo Green at least plays as good as he played last year, Cypress is who we brought, he is the guy, the shutdown corner that we expect him to be. Yeah, man, I think from a corner perspective, I think you're in a lot better hands than people kind of, the question has never I don't think been the talent. I've always thought that it's been the technique and style that our corners have played with. The safety is the only position. The safety position is the only position. You bring back Akeem Dent, Shaheem Brown. I think that's who you're starting. But then you have Travis J. But then, as I've continued to say, I don't know what you got behind those 2. What do you have behind Travis J? What do you have behind Akeem Dent and Shaheem Brown? Hopefully they figure that out. I don't know if they hit the portal. I don't know if Conrad Hussey or one of those freshmen get in the mix, which I would kind of think maybe so. But that is the outlook, man, that I kind of that's just a quick position by position rundown of what we can expect, or what we should be looking to expect in the spring from this team. There's a lot of growth that needs to happen, but I think there's a lot of talent in that room, in every room, and on the team, period. I think there's a lot of talent that there's a reason why, man, FSU fans are excited, and the media is also kind of getting behind the fact that FSU looks to be poised to have a very, very good season in 23. But yeah, man, that is it. As you see, as this game winds down, 35-32, we squeak it out against Notre Dame. As always, y'all, it is your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Get in the comments, guys. I like that. Tell me what I'm talking about. Tell me how you feel. Get in that comment section, folks. Let me know how y'all feeling about that. And like I said, man, share the video. Share the video, share the video, share the video. That's how we continue to grow this platform, this Seminole tribe. The 863 tribe is how we will continue to grow it, by you sharing the videos. And with all that said, see y'all in the next video. Go Noles, and we got you.